If we're meeting for the first time, congratulations. In this video, I want to equip you with 10 specific tasks you must do to successfully navigate the first 2 trimesters of your wife's first pregnancy. My name is Markus, also known as Mr. Homemaker. I've been with my wife Kristen since 2012, and we had our first of 3 children in 2016. For any expectant mothers who stumbled upon this video, I invite you to share this video with your husband and then promptly stop watching. As my wife Kristen put it,
and wives, give your husbands the space to figure this out without feeling accused or put upon.
Now we're going to cover these 10 tasks in the order you should start them. There's a good chance you won't know your wife is pregnant until at least week 4 or 5. So after a week or so of processing this news, let's hope you're watching this and you're ready to get to work by week 7. If not, buckle up, because you have some catching up to do. Number 1, create a joint pregnancy calendar. You're going to need this more than the 2 of you have ever before. You need to keep track of doctor's appointments, deconflict work schedules, and when it comes time to start strategically planning maternity and paternity leave. We'll come to each of those and several other things to schedule in turn. But one way or another, you need to manage a joint calendar for you and your wife. Number 2, reserve a spot for you and your wife to take the Bradley Birth Method courses, which are 12 weeks long, and you'll want to start them as early as possible in the 2nd trimester. You'll learn a lot from Bradley Method about pregnancy, childbirth, and even receive some good mentorship as a couple navigating this major transition in your life together. One of the biggest challenges of pregnancy and childbirth is feeling like you don't know what you're doing or how to support your wife. And that's where Bradley Method comes in. Those classes will prepare you for every step of the journey from pregnancy to childbirth and beyond, and you'll learn how to be an effective coach and advocate for your wife, how to communicate with doctors and nurses, and how to handle unexpected situations. But what really sets Bradley Method apart is the depth and breadth of education they provide to husbands. You'll learn about the different scenarios that could arise during childbirth, from natural childbirth to C-sections and everything in between. It'll be armed with the knowledge and confidence you need to make informed decisions about what your wife and baby need during childbirth. But you don't want to wait until those classes begin in the 2nd trimester to start learning, talking, and preparing with your wife, which is why number 3 is to buy 2 books. The first is a copy, or maybe 2, of Expectant Parents. This book is a great vehicle for having important conversations as a couple. It helps you get on the same page about how to flourish in your marriage through your first pregnancy. And it does a great job of bringing common perceptions and expectations to the surface so that you can avoid miscommunication and disappointment. Each chapter ends with key topics and prompts that will help you stimulate warm and productive conversations with your wife. It's 12 chapters, so if you read 1 chapter each week with your wife, you'll be halfway through it when you start your Bradley classes. You'll know specifically what questions to ask and what guidance to solicit from the instructors and mentors so you can get the most out of the book and the classes ahead. And while this book is for the 2 of you as a couple, the other book I highly recommend is just for you. If you don't already know, then brace for how head-spinning it can be to keep up with everything that's going on with your partner, the baby, and the whole childbirth process. That's why you need a book that cuts through the noise and gives it to you straight. And that book is Dad's Expecting 2 by Harlan Cohen. This book is a no-nonsense, easy-to-reference, easy-to-read guide specifically written for men. It covers everything from the first trimester to labor and delivery with practical advice and insights related to everything from the biological to the emotional. It's been recommended by Pregnancy Magazine, the New York Times, and even Dr. Oz says it's the only book that a husband needs to get through pregnancy. So do yourself a favor and pick up Dad's Expecting 2 by Harlan Cohen. As always, there are links to these and all the resources and recommendations in the description below. And before we go on, let me say that as a visual learner myself, who places a lot of value on staying organized, I want to help you feel empowered rather than overwhelmed by everything in this video and in the resources I'm recommending. So I've created a set of customizable tools and worksheets that are already populated with the action items I'm covering in this video. I highly recommend you download those files using the link below and use them to capture your thoughts as you follow along and watch other videos, read books, and so on. All right, number 4. Sign yourself up for an infant and child first aid course from the Red Cross. This is a dad job. Exercise your own discretion based on your wife's disposition, but I would caution you against asking your pregnant wife to immerse herself in all the things that can go wrong with an infant or a newborn. At least for now, I think it's wise to let her focus on navigating pregnancy while you do some advanced preparation for the next chapter ahead. Number 5, it's time for you to begin asserting yourself as the manager of your growing household. Specifically, as you approach the end of the first trimester, you need to establish ground rules and standards for the routines and chores that keep your home in order. I know that might sound daunting, but hear me out. When your wife is pregnant, she's dealing with a whole host of new responsibilities and burdens that you simply can't share equally with her. She's growing a human being inside of her womb, for goodness sake. So it's up to you to step in and take care of some of the household tasks and errands that might have previously fallen on her shoulders. Rebalancing the chores and errands in your household is crucial during this time, and you need to be proactive and take ownership of tasks you might not have been responsible for in the past. Things like cooking, doing laundry, doing the grocery shopping, and taking care of the dishes after each meal. But it's not just about taking on more chores, it's also about growing together instead of apart through this period. This is a time when you and your wife should be leaning on each other for support more than ever. And the difference between a successful and happy pregnancy and a stressful and divisive one is all about your attitude and proactivity as the husband. So it's time for you to become the manager of your growing household. Collaborate with your wife to establish ground rules and standards for the routines and chores that keep your home in order, and take on more responsibility for your wife and your household through this exciting but challenging time. Remember that you're in this together, and the more you step up as the husband, the stronger your marriage will be in the long run. Number 6, develop a nesting plan with your wife. This is an excellent way to strike a balance between helping her feel prepared and cared for, while also avoiding feeding into potentially irrational and anxiety-inducing impulses. Here are some suggestions to consider. First, talk with your wife about her priorities. Have a conversation about what's important to her as she prepares for the baby's arrival. This will likely include things like decorating the nursery, creating a registry, and stocking up on supplies. Take in all her ideas so that they're all incorporated into the plan. Once you have that list of tasks, prioritize them based on their importance and their urgency. This will help you and your wife focus on the most important things first and avoid getting sidetracked or bogged down in little details that can wait. And also give yourselves a realistic amount of time to get each little project done. Otherwise, you're in serious danger of feeling overwhelmed, particularly if you procrastinate as the due date approaches. And while it's important to be prepared, it's also important to avoid making any impulse purchases that might not be necessary and will only cause financial stress and clutter and anxiety in your home. So make a deal with your wife that you'll discuss any purchases before you make them. Pregnancy is a wonderful time, but it can be very stressful. And if you overload yourselves with these projects, then you are setting yourselves up for burnout. So use that calendar to also block off decompression time, dates, and just, Netflix and days off, so that both you and your wife feel like your battery is being replenished, as well as staying prepared. Number 7, coordinating the announcement of your pregnancy with your family, friends, and coworkers. This is probably the only part of pregnancy that closely resembles wedding planning, because your wife has probably spent a lot of time thinking about how she'll go about announcing her first pregnancy. So the main thing here is to get a clear understanding of her vision and expectations of you. Beyond that, it's all gravy. Number 8, cultivate your support networks. In particular, look for in-person support groups for expectant parents in your area. There are often Facebook pages or groups that can be found at your local library or church. Those groups are a great opportunity to connect with other people going through a similar experience who can trade tips and resources and provide the support that each of you need individually and together. Number 9, one of the most important things that you can do to prepare for the arrival of your new baby is to level up your health. This means paying attention to your nutrition, your sleep, your fitness, and hydration. It's important to set a positive tone early on. During the second trimester, your wife may feel sensitive about her appearance, so that's not the best time to suggest she start eating right and exercising. And by the third trimester, it's maybe too late to get many of the benefits of improving your lifestyle that you could achieve if you begin earlier on. It's never too late to start, but the earlier you start, the better. First and foremost, you need to ensure that you, your wife, and your baby are getting proper nutrition. I'm not going to prescribe a particular nutrition strategy, but I encourage you as the husband to take as much ownership and responsibility as possible for implementing that strategy for you and your wife. That includes grocery shopping, preparing food, and taking care of ensuring that healthy meals and snacks are part of her daily routine. After nutrition, you need to ensure that you and your wife are getting enough sleep. That will become a difficult task, particularly later in the stages of pregnancy, as she becomes more uncomfortable and has more difficulty sleeping. So you need to prioritize rest and relaxation as much as possible, with increasing emphasis the closer you get to delivery. You also don't want to underestimate the importance of fitness as a component of preparing for delivering a baby. Regular exercise will help your wife manage her stress, which is good for her and the baby. It'll improve her mood and overall health, and it'll also make sure that her body is in the right shape, is conditioned to deliver her baby. Finally, hydration is critical for both you and your wife during pregnancy. Her body, of course, is working overtime to support the growth and development of your unborn child. So it's important that she stays well hydrated. Make sure she's getting plenty of water every day, and maybe give her a gift of a new water bottle to keep on her desk to keep her on track with staying hydrated. And number 10, develop a preliminary childcare plan and get on some wait lists. I know this seems crazy, but in many places, there's a 9-month waiting list to get into daycare or lock in a spot with a nanny. If you and your wife are both working and she plans to return to work after, let's say, 12 weeks, then in 10 months, you're going to be dropping off your baby on the way to work. But we'll talk about more of that in the following video. For now, the important thing is to make sure you're thinking ahead and starting to get your foot in the door wherever you plan to place your child after maternity and paternity leave end. So those 10 must-dos will cover the first and second trimester, and in the following videos, we'll prepare you for the third trimester, delivery room, and beyond. Also check out our video on the worst advice you can expect to receive as an expectant father, so you aren't led astray by well-meaning busybodies. I'll see you over there.